Welcome to the number one strategy podcast in this world. I am Migs, and for today's episode, we're going to talk about a case study. But before anything else, have you ever imagined having $1 trillion in your bank account? Can you just imagine how big that money is? For example, you have been given 50 years to spend $1 trillion. And for you to spend it to its very last cent, you need to spend at least $635 for every second for 50 years. That's so big. For example, you need to buy an iPhone every second for 50 years in order to spend it to its very last cent. Or every day, you need to buy a sports car for 50 years in order to spend it all. So the reason why I have shared this with you is that our special case study for today has something to do with $1 trillion. And for today, we're going to talk about a company called Samsung, a big tech company. We are going to strategize for them on how they can achieve a net worth of $1 trillion. Is this map. Let me explain the whole map first. Let's break it down. For the financials perspective, one of the strategies that Samsung can utilize is to reduce controllable cost. What I mean is that Samsung can control the cost and reduce it. Second, increase the profitability for Samsung, which means more money for them, more investment for them, more assets for them, wherein they can create more product. But how can they do this? How can they achieve this? Just like the Note 7, they release products that hype the people, but when the consumers buys it, phones are not well developed. Therefore, Samsung are forced to replace the product or recall it. If they reduce recalls, they can save billions of dollars that can increase their profitability. How can we do this in a customer perspective? To achieve this, we must increase our market share. Based from the SWOT analysis again of Samsung, one of their threats of Samsung is that there are a lot of competitors within the phone making industry, and a lot of phone makers are emerging at this time. However, one of their opportunities is that they have an advantage over their competitors because of their innovativeness and their technology. And they can increase market share if they increase their brand identity. People see them as a trusted innovator, means people will buy and investors would invest in them. So if they increase their brand identity, people will invest in them, people will trust them, and people will buy more from them. One of the ways of increasing this is by reducing the product recall. And second, increase the product experience. People will buy more from you if they have a great experience from you. So people would buy more from them instead from their competitors if their experience of the product is great. And lastly, customer service experience. This will help Samsung to build a loyal customer to the brand. As a result, people will buy more from them, they will retain their customers and would buy more from them. So increase in market shares. But how can you achieve this? How can you achieve this customer's perspective? We must address the internal side first. How can we reduce product recall in the business? First, we need to refine the manufacturing and research and development processes. By refining R&D and the manufacturing processes, it will help Samsung to ensure that their products are safe and have no faults. Therefore, reduce in recalls means reduce in controllable costs. When we refine the processes, it can help Samsung produce quality phones and quality products, which means customer of Samsung would have a phenomenal product experience. So when we refine the processes and manufacturing of the phones, people would experience Samsung more. Also, by refining it, it can increase the brand identity of Samsung because the produced phones are quality. So therefore, when we refine these things, manufacturing and research development, it can help Samsung to build quality product, and it can increase brand identity. And speaking of brand identity, one of the ways of increasing this as well is to boost integrated marketing globally. Because if they market themselves properly with consistency overall the world, they can make an advantage towards other competitors, thus resulting to more market shares globally. The more the market share you get, the more it will be easier for Samsung to reach the $1 trillion mark. I'm sure you have experienced Apple or you have bought from Apple. And just like Apple, one of the reasons why they reached the $1 trillion mark is through their customer service, is through retaining the customers that they have. And just like Apple, Samsung can do this as well. One of the ways customers of Samsung would enjoy and would want to buy more from them is through retaining the customers. And one of the ways of retaining the customer is to respond to them immediately through social media accounts, through any platform that they are in, their consumers are in. So therefore, Samsung should have a quick response time, not just in social media, but in addressing problems, just like Apple. None of this would happen if Samsung would not apply these things. So it is important for them to consider this learning and growth aspect on the strategy map. So first, quality and control management. This will help Samsung to ensure that refining the process will be quality but consistent as they reach their target. So once they considered hiring a quality control manager, or they introduce quality control management into their system, this will help them to reduce the cost, reduce the product recoil, and thus increase profitability. This may sound cliche, but asking for help is okay, right? Therefore, marketing agencies are there for Samsung to help them. Samsung needs to hire agencies so that Samsung can focus on their products and the marketing agency can focus on their brand identity for Samsung. It will go hand in hand in order to reach the target. So marketing agencies are there to help Samsung to build brand identity for them. And more people can trust them, and more people will invest in them, and more people will buy from them. In order for Samsung to have a great customer service, they need to adapt a customer-centric perspective. Just like Amazon, the most customer-centric company, people kept going to them because they value customers. And in the same way, if you mix a great product with great customer service, it will result into a great company, and that great company will result into $1 trillion. This means Samsung would need to think about their customers even more. They would think on how they act, on how they can address the needs of the people, on how to solve their issues, on how to solve anything that the customer needs and wants. Overall, this strategy map will not happen, or it will not reach the $1 trillion mark if the leaders or the leader will not be supported of this. One of the key in pulling this off is through the leadership of Samsung. If the leaders will not be supported, then the whole organization will not support each other. Therefore, it is important for the leader to step up and support every needed things in order for them to reach the $1 trillion mark. It is important that a leader supports its organization, and the organization will follow the leader. Alright, I am Migs, and I thank you for listening, and this has been a great episode of the #1 strategy podcast in this world.